in Syracuse, Utah. We just got back from our nightly walk as a couple, and it was amazing. Today we have the topic of, if you want to kind of share our topic, and then I have a quote here. So
our topic today is debunking the thoughts that we all get sometimes that I'm too broken, I'm too damaged, I've experienced too much trauma. It's not possible for me to fully heal. And, I'm never really going to find that depth of love because I'm too damaged. So that's a false belief, and we're going to debunk that today.
Right, and I just want to lead off with a quote here from Aristotle. I really like. It says, quote, "It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it," close quote. So I really like that because I've went through a lot of thoughts myself that I did entertain that I kind of wished I wouldn't have, right? And the I'd say the more wisdom I gain, I'm learning how to allow thoughts to come into my mind and then exit out, almost like a car passing, or if you were watching like something just kind of floating down a river and you just kind of let it float back out. And I think it's important to let thoughts flow and not grasp onto them sometimes, and not entertain them. And it does take wisdom to know which thoughts to entertain and which ones to let go of. And with trauma, it's really tough because it's ingrained in us and it makes us feel like we've got to hold on to it, to make it worth what happened to us, or we've got to, really feel it, or, what happened to us is for nothing type thing. And so, or you may just be angry and want retribution and want complete, annihilation of the opponent that you're dealing with. But the wisdom says that's also not your authentic self. That's your pride talking, And so I think we got to be aware of both of those, our ego versus our soul, and align ourselves with our soul and try to be wise about what we're thinking. And some of these thinking errors that we generate, it's good to just kind of let them come through, accept them, don't judge them, let them pass by. And if you really kind of know as you're feeling them that they have negative energy tied to them, they're most likely, it's not wise to hold on to them,
Right. And the truth is that you are worthy no matter what has happened to you. You are worthy of the truest, purest, deepest, brightest form of love. And because that's who you are at your core, at your soul level, as an eternal being having an earthly experience. The truth is, we all have experiences that have caused trauma and have caused scars and have caused things we hold within ourselves that feel ugly or repulsive. We all have that, but that is what makes us beautiful. It's like that concept of, I can't remember what the word is called in Japanese, but when the vase breaks, they piece it back together and use a beautiful gold to fill in the cracks, and it becomes its own unique piece of art, and it is beautiful. And no matter what has happened to you, no matter how much pain you may still carry, or even if you feel like you've released most of it, every once in a while you just get that overwhelming heaviness or sadness from just everything you've been through. The truth is that you are worthy of love, and there is somebody out there for you, maybe even right next to you right now, who is honored and is just enthralled by you and admires you and loves you at your deepest soul level in spite of everything you've been through, your messiness, your scars, the unhealed parts of you, the things you're still working on. They will love every single part of you. And that's what the truth is.
I couldn't agree more. And, as she was talking, I thought of, a client that I had been working with, and this client is a mother of, so I'm a youth counselor, so I'm working with her 2 children, but the mother was having a really hard time in a parent-only session, and I could just see the emotion and the tears and everything that was and she almost was panicking as she was talking about her life and just everything that was hitting all at once. And so, there are times where we have many experiences that happen, but the way we think of those experiences can throw us right into a panic attack. And so that's what was happening with her. As she was the experiences of her life, she was almost counting all the negative ones and adding them up, and then she started to panic. And so it was really cool to just be able to help her have a brief reset, and to help her let thoughts come and go without judging them, and just see what she was noticing as she was experiencing her thoughts. And the cool thing about it is, as she let her thoughts come and go, she started to let go of having to hold on to all of them all at once. And her panic went right down. She cooled right down. And I says, you know what, let's just take the toughest thought that you have right now. We're going to put all the rest of them, away for right now. But we're just going to have the one thing we're focused on, so that we're not overwhelmed. We can handle the one thought at a time. And it was just awesome to see that melt and help her work through the one thought. And as she worked through that one, the other ones started making a lot more sense. And we went into kind of a deeper discussion about what she was feeling, and she was feeling anger towards an ex-spouse, and her anger was definitely verified. I mean, there was a lot of shit that this guy had done to her, and so I get why she's angry. I validated the fact that I understand that, and I hear what her pain, and so, but something that we started getting to is, I just asked her, instead of feeling this anger, what would you prefer to feel? And she just sat there for a minute, and she's like, I want to not give a shit about anything that he's doing.
Yes.
And I think she really, once she had that kind of come to her, she's just like, but I can't seem to let go of this. It's stuck in me. It's like, and I could feel that, because I've been there. I've been in a point where it's like I couldn't quite let go of that need for retribution. I need to get that person back. And she was kind of going through that same thing. And so I had ultimate empathy for her at that moment. But I just remember when I asked her that, how would you prefer to feel? She was able to identify that she doesn't want to care about that. She was able to identify too that she once was happy, and she wants to get back to that. And she discussed how she's usually the happiest person in a room, but ever since the divorce took place, she hasn't been able to feel that way, And so, and I empathized, because I've been through that, and Kara's been through that, and it's been a tough thing. But I think what we can focus on is what we would prefer to feel. And that then starts to adjust the way we think. And there's a really cool tool that you can use to actually help you with this, and it's called a future template. It's something I learned in when I studied EMDR therapy, that eye movement desensitization reprocessing, and you basically connect with your future self, and you go to that template, you visit, you almost take like an imaginary train to that future you and gain some advice from them, and you picture that future template as if they are already where you want to be. They feel the way you want to feel. They're having the thoughts that you would want to have. They have the life that they want to have, the dreams that have come true. And you go visit that future you, and you just let that future you give you a big hug, because they know what you've been through. They know what you're going through right now. And then you're able to actually connect with the idea of, hey, this future me has some wisdom for me and can put me on a new path that takes me away from this need for retribution. It'll take me into a whole new energy where instead of needing retribution for something that happened to me in the past, I'm able to look at my future and be grateful for where I'm heading. And grateful that I learned those lessons from that past person, but I'm moving into a new life. And this new life is going to be stronger and more beautiful because of what I lived, And so it's kind of a cool tool to use.
It's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, so, I don't have much to add to that other than a fun story about us.
That works.
One time, okay, ladies, listen to this. You have to get yourself a man who is like Ty, who I can let my guard down and know that I am deeply desired, thought of, loved, craved, no matter what situation. We were laying in bed one night, and he's like rubbing his hand up my leg and stuff, and I'm like, God, my legs are all hairy. I'm not feeling anywhere near, like a sexy woman would want to feel right now. I kind of had a cold happening, and just, one of those nights where the kids are an hour and a half past bedtime and you're frazzled and at your wit's end. And I just kind of let out this, sigh out my nose, let a breath out your nose. And it literally was like this big old booger whistle. And the funniest part was he literally goes, a booger whistle? Like that, with the question inflection. And he laughed so hard, and we both laughed. And then I'm like, I am a freaking ogre. It was the funniest. And I'm like, okay, if he can love me and my ogre self, then we're good, right?
I absolutely do, babe. That's it.
We laughed
I'm
so
like,
hard.
hey, I identify with Shrek, man. Me and him get along,
I don't need any makeup. I don't need any fanciness. Obviously, those things are a plus, right? But thank you for loving me and my ogre-ishness, worse self.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, you can laugh about things like that. Like, it's fun, it makes life, it takes the pressure air out of your bubble when you can actually just laugh.
Yeah.
And
and you're
enjoy
both
it,
real humans, right? There's vulnerability in everything, right? So don't judge your partner harsher than you would want somebody to judge you, right?
Exactly.
You're in this life together, thick and thin, ugly or pretty, rough times, good times, all of it. And have each other's back. And there's nothing you can do to be unworthy of love. Nothing. And there's nothing that someone did to you that makes you unworthy of love.
Right. And in fact, I mean, I love that you kind of opened up something here. So when it comes to that feeling of worthiness, you almost go back to, where did we learn worthiness? Where did we first learn it? Did we learn it from our parents? Probably started teaching us, right and wrong. And if we did things right, we feel worthy. If we did things wrong, we don't, and then you go to church and, oh man, you really start laying it on thick there, right? And you're going to feel really guilty or really good, depending on what you're choosing to do, right?
And the fear, guilt, and shame tactics.
Yes, and so something that I have, tried to do over time is allow my soul to learn in all sorts of ways. And I think Kara kind of gave me a really good path to look at when, she used to listen to quite a few podcasts, and I would just kind of be with her when she would kind of pop one on. We'd be on a drive or something, and I'd be learning these things, and I wouldn't always agree wholeheartedly with what the podcaster was saying, but there was always some truths that were coming through that I was like, oh, well, that's a new way to look at it. And that would just kind of help you unlock something that you used to think was like concrete in your mind. And so it opened my mind. It allowed me to kind of open up to the new possibility that maybe I'm not this unworthy person, or maybe I'm not this broken person. It's just the way I'm thinking of myself. And so that's why I said that Aristotle quote, you can, accept a thought without having to hold on to it. You can accept it and let it pass by, but you don't have to.
You don't have to accept it as truth.
No, not at all. And sometimes you need to let the thoughts about yourself, the judgments about yourself, you got to let them go. You got to let them cruise down the river and allow yourself to be open to a new way of thinking. And it's beautiful when that happens, and it unlocks your rigidity inside your mind. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful when you recognize that, wow, I can think differently about myself, about other people. I don't have to hold on to harsh judgments. I can let those things go. And even if you were taught in the harshest of ways, abused, you might have been physically abused growing up by a dad or by a mom. You might have been, who knows?
Just have that extreme pressure to be perfect, or you do things just right, else
exactly
explosions are going to happen, whatever it is.
Right. And that can be really tough when you're under that kind of pressure. To perform, or pressure to
just to keep the household stable, right? If there's an unstable person who will go off the handle if everything's not just right,
That can be really a high pressure situation, especially for little kids. I work with a lot of little kids, so and I work with a lot of parents, and man, there's a lot of pressure going on in some of our homes, and so I think it's trying to have some awareness to, what energy am I contributing to my home, and what energy am I contributing by the thoughts that I have about myself, or the thoughts I have about, the people in my life. And I can promise you, if you'll just take some time and lower your judgment, try to have non-judgmental openness for yourself and for other people, you'll recognize that it opens up this line of communication that now is safe for the other person, because you're no longer judging them harshly or criticizing them. You're now an open vessel, a safe place for them to land, and they are for you too, and it's beautiful. Kara's probably one of the most non-judgmental people that I've met when it comes to sharing thoughts or even things that maybe I'm embarrassed about or things that I wouldn't want anybody to know, right? I feel like I could tell Kara anything and I could land in her realm and she wouldn't judge me harshly. In fact, she would, be there with open arms and understanding heart and these beautiful eyes, and accept me just as me, So that's an important thing and an important quality especially in relationships and intimacy and all of those things, like to be able to land with your partner.
Yeah, in our groups we talk a lot about the realm of safety, and that's what it really means. You have to create a space with your partner. If that's not it's not possible with them, you need to find a new partner, like flat out, because you have to have the realm of safety for you both to be fully vulnerable and for you both to be fully authentic and for you both to have space to heal and grow and evolve, right?
Right.
So and Ty does the same for me, and he's amazing. And yeah, and that's what makes our relationship so amazing, is we do have that, and we nurture and protect that, right?
Exactly. We have discussions about protection, like of how to protect our love. We've had recent discussions about that, and it's important to have those discussions openly and without judgment, and we've done that successfully. And I think that's it's cool to know that we both have made it to here. And I think what's helped us though is the evolution process, learning how to gain awareness and knowledge from our mistakes of the past, and being able to come to each other with a new way of thinking, a new way of working through problems, and a non-judgmental heart, and working together as a unit to solve things, and letting all options be possible, that we're not going to turn away any solutions, that no matter how far out there they are, no matter how big of a dream it might be, we still listen to each other, right? And it's a beautiful thing. And so, as we're trying to kind of get to a conclusion here, I would say, like, think about your last time you might have been super angry, whether it be at yourself or a child or your partner. And as you think about that moment, and you think about like the picture that kind of comes to mind as you think of what happened during that thing, it might even still just get your blood boiling like immediately as you think about it, right? But then I want you to just take a part two, or like you remember the old cassette tapes where you could you flip it from side A to side B, and on side B, it's what you would prefer to feel.
I love that. Yeah.
It's what you would prefer to have back in your life, the alignment that you want back in your energy and in your soul. And if you'll do that, you'll flip to side B, and you'll say, you know what? That's not even that big of a deal anymore.
Right. Side B is so beautiful, the rest doesn't matter. And so that's what we have to remember.
And it's just a matter of resetting, turning. It's like when you're playing Nintendo or something. You got something in some level or something that you keep dying on, right? And you just hit reset and you try again, Like sometimes you got to do that. And sometimes in your reset, you just got to take a break from it, and right. Come back to it when you're fresh, when you're not so high tense anxiety and high tense emotion that you have this highly negative conversation either with yourself in your own mind or with your partner, because you're so wound up with crazy energy, you know. So hopefully as you've listened to this, you've had, you know, can take a few things away from it that can be helpful. But if there's one thing to take away too, I think it's trying to be aware of the way that you think, and knowing that your thoughts are very powerful, and trying to focus your energy on how you'd prefer to feel, even if you've gone through a trigger that's massive. And it might be really massive. There could be something that happened to you that was so hurtful and so traumatizing, and I feel for you. If that is you, I feel you, and I'm sending you light right now, you know. But I also want you to achieve what you would prefer to feel. And so I want you to take a minute and focus on that. What do I want back in my life? You might even have to use that future template and go back there and talk to that future you, you know.
Let the light come through.
Yeah, absolutely.
And remember that it's a myth that you're too broken to have the love that you desire or dream of. That is false. You are worthy of love. You can have love. It's right here for you. And as you heal and evolve, you'll attract a partner who will heal and evolve and resonate with the authenticity of your soul.
Love that. Love that. And knowing that it's already built into you.
Yeah.
It's already built in. Like, I love what she just said right there. It's already built in. We just got to help bring it back to your remembrance. Right?
Amen. Good job, baby.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to put another song on the end of this by Tyson Barlow. There's dreamy, sultry voice.
Very kind. Man. Thank you.
Leave a comment so that Ty knows that his voice is sexy and it's not just his wife that thinks so.
Yeah, it's just my wife that thinks so.
No,
That's okay.
It's super sexy, love. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Familiar song on the radio. I pull you close and I sway with you. Your beautiful eyes say to me, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. Float back to a time where we were face to face. Let the memory crash just like the ocean waves. Sway, baby, sway. There's nothing left to say. Words get in the way. Sway, baby, sway. Sway, baby, sway. You just made my day. Let's get carried away. Sway, baby, sway. Steps with our feet. Get a glimpse of your smile. Melt with you for a while. Float back to a time where we were face to face. Let the memory ordinary crash, just like the ocean waves. Sway, baby, sway, there's nothing left to say. Words get in the way. Sway, baby, sway. Sway, baby, sway. You just made my day. Let's get carried away. Sway, baby, sway.